Well, the weekend has begun, but we can do so much because, of course, there's a lot of things happening in the world of pro wrestling. So today, we're going to be reviewing, of course, with Stardom with day 14 of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. So basically, we will see how things will progress. And then, of course, we got two back to back AEW events. The first one is Collision as they continue with more of the continuing on with the Continental Classic with the Blue and the Gold League block. So we will see how that is going to be. And of course, we got Rampage featuring many matches, but more specifically, wrestlers coming down from CMLL like Mystico, Atlantis Jr., and a few others. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with a very, very short news updates. And of course, we're going to be updating on upcoming event from a Spanish promotion. We're not talking about Mexico, folks. We're talking about Spain. And then, of course, we have two developments that we're also going to be talking about as well. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world. Pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can put it either on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if anything has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions has been set aside. I believe it's time to get a move on, folks. So let's, of course, begin with our very first review, and this is from Stardom. Okie dokie. Stardom. We are now in day 14 of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. As you know, we're getting closer and closer towards the end. We will see who will walk out as also later on as the winners from both blocks, but also soon the finale. So we're kind of getting anxious on this. But however, this particular event is a special day because, as you know, the three sisters are back home, and of course that's something that's going to happen. I think the name of this town is called Shimosuke. Um, George, hopefully I pronounced it right. But this is the home of none other than Hanan, Hina, and Rina. As you know, they're all sisters from three different factions. Hanan as a member of Stars, Hina of God's Eye, and of course Rina with Hate. So basically, they will be part of the main event. So we will get to that as well. But of course, Hanan and Hina came out earlier to do a little promo to greet their fans, to come and see them, and it's great because it's their hometown. Now, let's begin with our very first match, and this is part of the Blue Goddesses block in the Elite Tag League. We have EXV members, Rian and of course Waka Tsukiyama taking on um, Sayuri Anu and Natsupoi. So that practically says it all right there. Now, of course, it's no secret that Natsupoi knows Waka too well, that she used to be a former member of Cosmic Angels. But however, the indication is how will this going to play out. So I think many of you would think Natsupoi and Sayuri Ano has this one in the back. Well, they did because it was Sayuri Ano with the, of course, a submission, more of a art like using the arms as a choke to put out Rian, and that's how they picked up the win. They gained the points of 12, while Rian and Waka leave out with 4. Now, our next two matches are non tournament matches. The next one is a three-way match. We have Matoi Hamabe versus Aya Sakura versus Natsuko Tora. So of course you would think that Natsuko Tora is going to be a major problem, but the biggest weakest link in this particular match, you will all know it would be Matoya Hamabe. Reason is this: she is the least experienced. She just barely debuted not too long ago. So you would think that she will be the one to eat dirt. But the real question you ask yourselves: who will be most likely to take the pin on her? Well, the question that turned out to be is none other than the most hateful person on the planet, Natsuko Tora. So that played out pretty well when she applied a frog splash. I would have assumed she was going to do a swanton, but for whatever reason, she applied a frog splash instead. But even though she won the match, it has no significance whatsoever. Now, our next non tournament match, we have the members of God's Eye taking on Rana Yagami, Lady C. They take on Suzuki of Neo Genesis and, of course, Yuna Mizumori of Cosmic Angel. So you would think, in some capacity, by watching this match, you would think that Lady C and Rana Yagami have this. But yeah, I would think that would be it. We have seen them team up a few times, but when it comes to Zuzu and Yuna Mizumori, they are part of they are a makeshift team from two different factions. Zuzu with Neo Genesis, but she does have the bit of the uh how to say, the most violent edge you can get, and of course using Mizumori with a bit of the powerhouse, but also adapting with a bit of the high speed. But in the end, it was of course Suzuki with the Grand Maestro de Tequila onto Lady C that allowed her to pick up the win. Now our next three matches are in fact part of the Tag League. We're doing Red Goddesses. First match, we have Psych Queen, consisting of Saya Kamitani and Konami, taking on former Tag League winners and, of course, former tag champions Koguma and Azuki. Now, of course, you have to think when it comes to Psych Queen as members of Hate, you would think there'll be some dirty tactics. That is something, of course, most likely that could happen. But unfortunately, it did not go exactly according to plan from them, because it was, in fact, Koguma with the Kuma roll onto Kamitani that allowed them to pick up the win. However, there is speculations because she pinned Kamitani, she could aim for the Regina the Wave championship. That is something that people have been talking about when this match happened. We will see. But the obvious question is, will Wave actually sanction this match? That's something we will see. Now, the point system we have is Psych Queen with 6, um, Koguma and Azuki with just 14, I believe. Yeah. Now, continuing with the Red Goddesses, we have O2 Line, Miyu Amasaki and Azumi taking on God's Eye, Saki Kashima and Sayuri Ano. Now, of course, we have seen Sayuri Ano and, of course, and Kashima. They have been a pretty good tag team, as we've seen. I mean, they've been together around the same time as O2 Line. But the real question is, how is this going to be? Don't forget, you got two people in each side that have high speed capability. Many of you would think because Kashima, who's always been the fastest individual to pick up wins, that was going to play out. But no, it was Azumi with the Azumi Sushi on Kashima that allowed her to pick up the win. So both teams end up with, well, O2 Line just gained 6 points, leaving them in a total of 6. And as for God's Eye, well, they still ended up with 6. Now, as we continue with more of the Red Goddesses, which is the last one, we have Peach Rock, members of Stars, Momokoko, and Mayu Iwatani. They take on, of course, Cosmic Angels Sayaka Kurara and Tam Nakano. So you probably would think, is there another possibility? Kurara has already walked out as two matches she won like from apart. I mean, it is a possibility. I mean, we have seen how Mayu and Tam have their thing from their past, their history and all that. You would think that Momo Kogo could have the opportunity since she is a little bit more of experience than of course Sayaka Kura, and I think many people were hoping for that. But no, it was in fact Momo Kogo who was able to pick up the win with a somewhat of a crucifix bomb that allowed her to gain her next 2 points, leaving them with the total six, leaving Cosmic Angel still in the level of six as well. Now, our next match is part of the tag league with Blue Goddesses. We have Hate Supreme, Tekla and Momo Watanabe taking on Kohaku and Meisita. Now, of course, the obvious question is it will the tag team champions walk out as the winners to ensure that way? That would have been the possibility. Of course, and we cannot forget that Hate Supreme are members of Hate. They would have, of course, used dirty tactics. But unfortunately, that did not happen because Meisita was able to pick up the win with the shooting star onto Momo, and just like that, gaining their next 2 points with nine. However, of course, Tekla and Momo are still at 9 points. Now, our next match, it's the very interesting six-woman tag match. Team number one, we have Saida from Stars, Raka from Hate, and Starlight Kid from Neo Genesis. They take on the sisters, Hina, Rina, and Hanan. Now, it's very rare to see these sisters team up. They haven't teamed up fully ever since they were part of the Jungle Assault Nation until they were disbanded a couple years ago. So now that they each are in a separate unit, of course, Hanan is with Stars, Hina with God's Eye, originally with Queen's Quest, and of course Rina, she was part of the Tokyo Cyber Squad, but later joined Oedo Tide, now transform into Hate. So it's very rare to see their sisters. I mean, they all have different personalities, different traits, but they do have a common denominator. They're both, all three of them are judo experts, so that kind of plays out pretty well. But it was Hina who picked up the win on Raka. So basically, the hometown girls win this match. And I don't know what they said in their post match promo, but I'm sure the fans are happy to see them. So that's pretty much it. But I do know there is another Stardom show. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it, but we'll just have to wait and see. But for now, let's move on with AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. We open up with the Gold League of the Continental Classic. We have Will Ospreay versus Juice Robinson. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for Will Ospreay to bounce back after losing to Kyle Fletcher at Full Gear. So the real question is, can he pull it off? Of course, he probably could, and I think that's just one of those matches that we were all expecting. I remember last year, I think they would talk about him if he would participate, but I don't think he did. But this time he did. You would expect Juice Robinson being, of course, a bit more savage in order to win the match. It did not happen that way because it was Will Ospreay with the hidden blade that allowed him to win and gain his first 3 points. So we'll see how things will progress with both men. Now, we do see a little video promo from Mariah May. The obvious question is, why did Mariah May attack Mina Shirakawa? It appears that we're seeing, from what I can tell, it looked more like Mina Shirakawa is, well, Mariah May is a bit more jelly on Mina, because if you guys know this, people have been asking in AEW, we want Mina. So it seems like maybe Mariah May believes that her success is being overshadowed by none other than Mina. I mean, it does seem like it. I mean, people love Mina. That's one of the things that makes her unique. So it feels like Mariah May is saying, if you want to be at the top of the world, I'll put the AEW Women's World title on the line. So that seems like it, and it will happen at Winter is Coming. Now, our next match, we have MXM Collection teaming up with Johnny TV. They take on Private Party and, of course, the Príncipe de Plata himself, Místico. So you ask yourselves in this match. Now we have seen how MSX Collection and Johnny TV collaborated. How will Private Party will collaborate with one of the most daring and popular wrestlers in CMLL? Well, that is a good, solid question. You would think that there will be some good chemistry. It did, but it was of course Private Party that finished off Johnny TV when they applied the gin and juice and on Johnny TV, and but it was Isaiah Cassidy that picked up the win. So not bad for a good win with Private Party teaming up with Mystico. Now, Lexi Neer conducts an interview with Anna Jay. As you know, we haven't seen Anna Jay since she lost to Mariah May. So the obvious question we ask ourselves, where does she go from here? Now she cannot challenge for the AEW World Title. So basically that kind of puts it on hold for her. But she says it now that she put herself on this, she has nothing to lose. So basically, she says she's aiming for other titles. I mean, it is possible she could aim for the TBS title, no problem at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if she makes challenges like from promotions like Rev Pro or Stardom or possibly CML. I mean, who knows? But that is one of the things we will see. Now let's jump into another Continental Classic match for the Blue League. We have Kyle Fletcher versus Beast Mortos. Of course, Kyle Fletcher, as you know, he is proving himself that he is nothing compared like Will Ospreay, and of course, walking away with the win with Will Ospreay is building up his confidence. But however, how will he handle the Beast? Well, he handled him great until he applied a brainbuster that put him away once and for all, but it gave him his first 3 points in the tournament. Now, tensions have been rising about regarding of what's been going on. As you know, Adam Cole has been trying to get his hands with MJF, but it appears that Taven and Bennett had to talk to Kyle O'Reilly, believing that they have to fight this together to deal with MJF. But O'Reilly feels that Adam Cole has already put too many people's lives at risk, that he needs to put that he's going to do it himself. So we'll see where that goes. Now, of course, Don Callis being a very narcissist person that he is, even though he calls other people narcissists, talks about Takeshita. It appears that they may take this match all the way to this thing all the way to Tokyo Dome. It appears now Takeshita is asking anybody who's willing to challenge for the AEW International Championship. So we will see where that leads us from there. Now our next match we have the Outrunners take on the Iron Savages. Now these two teams have a bit of a history. They kind of some people think that the Outrunners are the real deal. The Iron Savage is it, but it plays out pretty well. But in this case, it was the total recall on Bronson that allowed them to pick up the win, all thanks to Turbo, and just like that, it was over. But however, this does not end with, of course, without the appearance of none other than FTR, old the Outrunners pals. So that's going to be a great moment. Now, we do see an interview with Max Caster. Of course, we saw recently what happened. So basically, he wants to challenge Swerve Strickland this Wednesday. So it's more like be careful what you ask for. But they did ask him where was Anthony Bowen and Daddy Ass. Well, apparently he told him to take the rest of the week off. So it appears that he is gonna deal with Swerve Strickland one way or the other. Now our next match, we have Hangman Adam Page taking on Wheeler Yuta. Now, as you know, this has happened after Full Gear, where Hangman attacked members of course the Death Riders in every way possible. But of course, Hangman has one thing in mind: is the AEW World Title. That's all in his mind. But however, wherever Wheeler Yuta is, we know that Death Riders are there somewhere. We did see first Pac and Claudio, then we did see, of course, John Moxley with Marina. But unfortunately, this match ended with Hangman with the dead eye, allowing him to pick up the win. For however, Jay White showed up to steal the moment of glory at Hangman's expense when he applied the Blade Runner on Yuta. However, John Moxley likes what he sees, but disappointing in Yuta's recent loss. So I don't know what's gonna happen. But of course, Hangman did had a little chat about Christopher Daniels. He's telling him you're consuming this revenge, but of course Hangman wasn't having it, so he's gonna do whatever he wants. Now, our next match we have Mina Shirakawa taking on Layla Gray. Nothing too significant, but of course we are paying attention to what's gonna happen. Mina will get her hands on Mariah May, but she has to focus on Layla. But she did pick up the win with the glamorous driver Mina, and just like that, it was over. Now, interview with Lexi, with Willow Nightingale. Apparently, as you know, she is going to be part of the Women's International Cup at Wrestle Dynasty. However, of course, she talked about helping out Orange Cassidy, what happened last time. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our main event of the Continental Classic Blue League, we have Kaguchika Okada and Daniel Garcia, our current two champions. Okada, the Continental champion, and of course, Dan Garcia, the TNT champion. So I thought this match could end either way. I mean, some of you would have hoped Okada win or Garcia, but unfortunately, this match ended with a time limit draw after 20 minutes. So this is the first one, and each person gets 1 point. But of course, Daniel Garcia tried to shake hands with Okada, but Okada, being a little prick that he is, he flipped him off. But we'll see what happens down the line. We will get more of the Continental Classic, but as of right now, let's end things here with AEW Collision and move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, our last review, AEW Rampage. We opened up with Thunder Rosa taking on Harley Graham. Well, in reality, it's Harley Cameron who's gone a little cuckoo. I don't know why she decides that challenge her. And of course, Thunder Rosa's like, you gotta be effing kidding me. Why do I have to challenge her again? I mean, she has gone a little cuckoo, but that did not do any good for her. I mean, I can tell she ended up losing by applying a package power driver. I hope just Carly Cameron just lick your wounds and move on. That's what she needs to do. Now, of course, Renee Paquette conducts an interview with Mercedes Monet. Mercedes doesn't want to hear nothing about Camille, so that's the last thing she needs. But of course, she was talking about the luchadors that made their presence known, which is hot for her to hear. So basically, we'll see what happens. Our next match, we have Action Andretti and Top Flight teaming up. They take on the combine of Atlantis Jr., Mascara Dorada, and of course, the wrestler Katsuyori Shibata. Now, I gotta ask myself, how will this combination work? I'm sure that this is the first time for Atlantis Jr. and Mascara Dorada teaming up with Katsuyori Shibata. I thought it was pretty good, but however, this match ended with, of course, Mascara Dorada applying a shooting star press on Action Andretti, allowing them to pick up a pretty good win. Now, Renee conducts another interview, but this time with Nick Wayne along with his mommy. As you know, Nick Wayne talks about Hook. Of course, he was not happy the fact that he was sneaked attack after what happened. He wants to see how dangerous Hook is. I mean, we know Hook is the kind of person who doesn't take any crap. He's not going to side with Christian because, of course, Christian tries to pretend that I'm going to be your dad better than Taz. There's no way Taz is going to allow that. But sooner or later, Nick Wayne's going to learn not to mess with him. Our next match, we have Serpentico versus Beast Mortos. You ask yourselves, how will this go out? I mean, we know Beast Mortos is a very dangerous wrestler. We know what he's capable, but he applied a disc lariat on Serpentico, and just like that, it was over. Now, in the backstage, something traumatic has happened. Camille was found unconscious and lying down on the ground. It seems someone attacked her, but the obvious question, who would have done? And I think many of you would think it had to be Mercedes Monet after what happened in Dynamite. We don't know for sure, but if that was the case, then sooner or later, that's going to happen. Our main event, we have Commander versus Hechicero. Now, we're not going to deny about the abilities and and great wrestling with Commander, what he can do in the ring. However, when it comes to Echiseto, he has proven himself as one of the most technical wrestlers we ever watched. We've seen him what he can do. But the question is, how will he pull it off? He did that when he applied a guillotine or guillotine or whatever, and he picked up a good win. So, not bad. So, we'll see what else happens now. But for right now, we'll end things here with all reviews and move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Well, let's do this news updates for all of you. So, like I said, it's a very short one. Now, for upcoming events, well, many of you may or may not have heard of this promotion called RCW Spain. This is a promotion based out of Spain. I have seen many talents from Japan make their way there, such as Mina Shirakawa, recently Unagi, Takumi Iroha, and various others. But, however, they did announce their shows for the entirety of 2025. And this is what they have. They'll be having their shows on January 11th, February 15th, March 8th, April 26th, May 10th, June 13th, July 5th, September 13th, October 4th, November 8th, and December 17th. So those are the days for, of course, their shows in 2025. Now on to developments. New Japan, well, Wrestling Observer reports that in New Japan, many talents' contracts are set to expire by the end of 2025. Now, I know there's been a little situation with this type of day. Many of you remember back before AEW ever existed, people thought that Kenny Omega was going to make his appearance in the Royal Rumble because it happened in January. Newsflash, guys, that does not work. They're still under contract until their contract expires. And that's what happened with Kenny. So we don't know who were these wrestlers. There have been wrestlers that their contracts were expired, but later resigned. So we don't know yet. But we will see. And then finally, Pentagon, as you all may or may know, he is now officially a free agent. So I think many of you are expecting he probably will be making his way to WWE. We haven't heard anything yet. We know the WWE are interested in them, but we'll just have to wait and see until then. But for now, we'll leave things as it is, and we'll just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we will continue. Hopefully, we get the chance to see another Stardom event. That is something we're expecting, and so is there's a much upcoming more with the World Tag League with New Japan. So we'll probably focus on that. I think the entirety of the show, of the reviews for Sunday, are all about Japanese wrestling. So if you guys are big fans of Japanese wrestling, well, tell your friends to check out the review coming up on that one. We do have other Japanese wrestling events that we did the entire time on one episode. So we'll see. But for now, that's the plan. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.
Are you ready?